is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, the Rereading. Prisoner of Azkaban, chapters 12 and 13. The Patronus and Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. In these chapters, the shit finally hits the fan with Scabbers and Crookshanks. Or should I say, the rat hits the fan.
No, you shouldn't say that.
No, I probably shouldn't say that. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
And, yeah, you know what we're here for. This is the reread. Rashawn's read them all by now. How about that?
I have.
Dun, dun, dun. We are, just trying to keep our heads down and do something fun while the world explodes around us.
The world is such garbage.
And it's a shower of sexual assault charged sparks and flames of imminent world war. So, let's take our solace where we can.
Yeah.
Between the pages of our beloved volumes.
Let's retreat from the dicks that are apparently just everywhere.
Flying
you can't
into
get
our
away
faces.
from them.
Dicks. This is not a family show, FYI, everyone.
Do you rate our episodes on iTunes? Do you rate them like mature content or bad language?
Yes, explicit is the tag.
Okay.
Oh,
Good.
Every
Good
single
to know.
one. Every time I accidentally forget to do that, I'm just like, oh shit. Like, I have to go back and, fix it because I'm just paranoid that there's going to be one episode that somebody's like, oh, maybe I can listen to this one with my kid. Nope.
Oh, my God.
If a single one of my shows does not have the explicit tag on it, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's not.
Mistake.
It is not a green light for children. It is my error. Yeah, there's when
people were like, "Oh, she finally did what I can listen to."
Right?
Nope, that's my bad.
I recorded with the guys from Overdue for the book club for Bag of Bones, and they posted the episode to their feed also, and they were like, so just that there's definitely some cursing in this one." And I was like, sorry.
Yeah. I like that they were like, they made it seem like, oh, there was just cursing, as opposed to, yeah, the girl we had on wouldn't stop saying fuck.
Well, one of them is like, there's some cursing in this one, and the other goes, oh yeah, there is. I swear to God, I said fuck like twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, you really didn't curse that much.
I didn't. I restrained myself.
And I had listened to a couple of their shows, in anticipation of you guesting with them. I wanted to, hear what their deal was and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I had noticed that there was no cursing at all. I just never noticed it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I was inserting curse words in my own, sort of running commentary as I was listening to them.
I do this also. Yes.
So when I listened to yours, and I listened to the one they posted,
mm-hmm.
and so I got to hear the little preamble, and I was like, oh shit, they don't curse.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned that in my email to them. It was just like, hey, I do curse though. But it's
I'm
fine.
glad you thought of
their
it.
warning on it is cool.
Yeah, it was fine.
But yeah, I have no problem with podcasts that decide not to curse. I completely think that would be good for the show in terms of opening it to a wider audience. But I am not interested.
Yeah.
Uninterested, says me.
I mean, and even if we didn't curse, you would also have to take out all the, the bad sex jokes and, I mean, it's not just about the cursing.
I couldn't say that Hagrid's dad must have been swimming in it.
Oh my God. We probably shouldn't have said that anyway, though. Cursing or not.
So yeah, anyway, the Patronus, chapter 12. It took me a minute to realize that this illustration is all the salamanders. Because...
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, it's like, it's done so indistinctly in this watercolor that I just didn't really pick up on it for a bit.
I didn't either. I just thought it was kind of like a sun. Yeah, this is really pretty orange.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, it's like a sunset. But it's not.
And it opens up with Harry being irritated with Hermione because she turned in his broom. And, like,
oh my God.
As much as he knows she was doing it for the right reasons and he's like trying not to be mad at her, but he can't help it. He's still pissed.
Yeah, he's still pissed. I love too that Wood is like, well, I'm going to go talk to McGonagall because we're equals and we, you know.
Wood does not understand his stance.
I am in a position to go and counsel her about her decision.
Yeah, his status is just not what he thinks it is, evidently.
I mean, he does say, rightly so, that, you know, she's such a big fan and she wants Gryffindor to win the cup, which is not wrong.
Yeah.
But I love his assurance, you know. Well, I'll just give her, I'll go talk to her. I'll work this all out.
Like, he's being such a dude right now, honestly.
Right? Who are you to be coming and telling her anything about any fucking thing?
As if to, like, say, well, I know she really wants to win, and I'm sure it hasn't yet occurred to her how important this broom is to you playing the sport that she's invested in. Like,
she hasn't weighed all the options here. She hasn't considered all the angles. Let me go.
So what is mansplaining? Is what happened. Oh my God.
I think that's exactly what happened. But we're gonna let it go because we just said we were trying to get away from all that.
So and like he goes and does this after he first comes to Harry and it's like, hey, as desperately as I want you on our team, I really do not want you to die from a Dementor attack unexpectedly. So if this is something that you can't handle and you need to leave the team, and Harry's like, no, I've got it figured out and under control. And he's like, well, thank fuck.
Yeah.
That's on 179. That's really early.
No. Yeah, no, I'm looking at it.
Okay.
I was thinking, like, when I read this the second time, even though you're right, and he is clearly concerned about Harry dying on the field, part of me is like, he also doesn't want to lose a game again.
No, he does not. Like, this feels like he wrote a script about approaching Harry and gave it to some friends, and they were like, hey, you might want to edit this because it really does come across like you just want him to not quit the team.
Yeah, because he says, we can't afford you to.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, buddy, are you all right? I don't want anything to happen to you. It's like, it would be really bad for the team if it turned out that you died.
And it's said in such a way that it's like, part of him is like you said, where he's saying, we can't afford to lose you, but if it's not going to be okay, you know, we understand. But it's also kind of like, we can't afford you to fuck up, even though it's not your fault, you know, that fucked up thing happened. So,
yeah. I just like to think that he wrote something out, gave it to his friends. They were like, buddy, you got to fix this. And then he went and very carefully, like, recited what his friends had told him to say to Harry, because he just had his priorities so fucked that he couldn't be trusted to just say what he was thinking. And then, you know, when Harry's like, they think that Sirius Black sent it to me. He's like, well, how could he have sauntered into Quidditch supplies and bought a fucking firebolt? Which I think we find out that he did it like by mail order or something later.
Yeah.
So the lessons start again the next day after it's January and it's freezing cold. And luckily, Hagrid has built a giant bonfire and there's a bunch of salamanders chilling in this bonfire, which I can't help but wonder how many kids killed real salamanders throwing them on fires and thinking that was going to be
Oh,
the thing that was
why?
like,
Why would you?
this is just who I am, Rashawn. Okay, just deal with my melancholy, worst case scenario type brain.
I thought that was me in this relationship.
I cannot keep my shit in check. And then he goes to divination, and Professor Trelawney tells him that he has the shortest lifelines she's ever seen.
Oh my God, her and her histrionics.
Listen, it's only like 4 years from here that he dies.
He also just almost died falling off a broomstick from like 50 feet in the air.
Almost doesn't count. That's what Brandy said. Did you buy that CD? I totally love that CD.
I did not.
Almost doesn't count.
No.
But yeah, he like actually dies finally at some point. Does that count in the lifelines? Does that show up? What do you think? You just don't want to give her credit for anything.
I really don't want to give her credit. And I'm shocked as you are that I am so reluctant to give her credit. I didn't realize I was harboring these feelings.
So they go then to Lupin's class, and Harry's like, hey, don't forget about my lessons for getting rid of Dementors. And Lupin looks like shit. And Ron's saying, I wonder what's wrong with him. And Hermione's behind them and just goes, and he's like, what? Do you know what's wrong with him? And she's like, well, it's obvious, isn't it? In that fucking way.
Yeah, that way that she has. Which is, I hate when, just fucking say the thing. Yep. Just say it, smarty pants.
Which is basically, Ron's like, well, if you don't want to tell us, then don't. And she's like, fine. And
then she like storms off.
Yep.
Which some people, if you don't give them the whole big production, please tell us what you know, please.
We crave your guidance.
Right, they get all fucking up in their feelings about it and stalk off. I love that he says, what are you tutting for, too?
Yeah. Yeah, and then she doesn't know. She's just trying to get us to talk to her again. Which, if it were anyone else, I would think he was right. But, it's Hermione.
You just can't.
She does know. And for her, it's not about trying to get you to talk to her again. It's that she hates knowing things and not being able to let everyone know that she knows.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, you know what, I think, too, that's a really interesting point that you just brought up. Because normally she would just say the thing.
Right.
You guys are such idiots. How can you not see that it's X, Y, and Z? But maybe because she's got all this other shit going on, and also because they're kind of, they got this whole Crookshank situation going on,
Right.
So there's this extra tension. But normally she would just be a smarty pants about it.
Right.
And would just say right then, what she knows or what she thinks she knows. But because they're in the middle of this,
they're in a fight.
These fights too are like on the reread. I don't know if we're supposed to, as readers, think that this back and forth with Ron and Hermione is like a precursor to their relationship.
I don't think so.
Because otherwise it just seems, it's like this weird power struggle. That I don't know if I 100% get, other than what it is on the surface, which is just that she's a know-it-all. Ron is exasperated by her all the time and is like resentful of it for the most part. And she, is irritated by Ron. I don't want to call him stupid. But she's irritated by Ron's failure to ever grasp anything. But yeah, there's this weird tug of war between Ron and Hermione throughout these books.
Yeah.
That I don't I mean, it's whatever. It's, part of the story. And I'm not trying to suggest that it should have been written a different way. But there are moments where I'm just like, but why? Why? I mean, but why?
I guess, like, I feel like it's almost supposed to be that the two of them are supposed to be a foil for Harry's incredibly high stakes problems.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're supposed to be reminded that, hey, here are some people that are in his life who, yeah, while they're invested in Harry and they care about him and what happens with him matters to them because they love him. Also, they're kids who are dealing with much less life or death situations than their friend and get caught up in dumb shit.
Yeah, okay.
Like regular teenagers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of me is just wondering, and it could be because I don't personally enjoy those types of friendships. I know that there are people that do.
Okay.
But I am not particularly interested in having a close relationship with someone who I'm fighting with all the time about all kinds of shit, like just over and over and over again. And I guess maybe part of that is that they are each Harry's friend, but whether they are friends is something that, like that Seinfeld joke when they all want to hang out, but Jerry can't make it, and they're like, "Well, we can't hang out if you're not there."
I didn't. No, I don't remember that one.
There's a thing they're all supposed to like go to the movies or something, and Jerry can't go, and Elaine is just like, "I'm supposed to just go with George, like just me and George."
I mean, I don't think that's the case because I think it's just sort of like they kind of remind me in some ways of me and Owen, in that Owen and I just cannot not bicker with each other. And it's like we do actually get irritated with each other, but also it's like a sport. And we just enjoy fucking like seeing who wins at needling the other. And I totally get what you mean about not liking that like kind of relationship and not really wanting that. But I think it depends on how good the other person is at it and how well they know you and stuff, that it can be kind of weirdly fun.
Well, that's the thing too, and that's why I was wondering if it had something to do with this idea that this is part of what their relationship is, even as they get older and become a couple. Because it is, that dynamic is something that I'm familiar with in a romantic relationship.
Maybe it is, like, I didn't really get that. I didn't really just think that much about it, to be honest. I was just like, oh, they just tend to bicker a lot. Which just, there are going to be people like that you like them, but you also, Miles, fight with them all the time about everything.
Fair enough.
So that's just kind of how I saw the two of them. Because, like at this point in the books, I'm still thinking that she's ending up with Harry. That's how this whole thing is setting up for her and Ron to be like backbiting a little bit and for her to end up ultimately with Harry. And then things started to take a turn in another direction in the next book, and I was like, what? So maybe I'm just biased and not thinking that it means that, because at this point, reading them the first time, I just didn't feel like the two of them looked like they were going to get together at all. So I don't know. Other listeners, let me know what you think. Okay, so he goes to his first Patronus lesson, and it doesn't go super well for him initially. He starts to finally get it right at the end, but at first he keeps passing out. Like there's 3 in a row. And he finally manages to produce this like thin vapor that just kind of hovers between him and the boggart Dementor. But he has to use up a ton of energy to maintain it. It doesn't just appear and stay. He has to keep it there. And it's not nearly as effective as an actual Patronus, which would literally charge at the thing and get it to run.
Right.
And I always forget that even though this boggart isn't an actual Dementor, that it's able to have the same effect as a Dementor.
Yeah, I forgot that as well.
It's kind of weird, right?
I was like, oh shit, that's right. He passes out a couple times. Which I feel like when we were talking about how at the beginning of the book in the class, when Lupin doesn't let Harry get a shot at the boggart. And I remember feeling like, but it wouldn't have even mattered because what damage could it have done? Like why would Lupin be afraid?
Right.
But it turns out
yeah,
that it can have the same effect. So
yeah, I had completely forgotten that this is because they're, they call the boggart a shapeshifter, but
which doesn't imply that it has any of the power of the form it's taking.
Yeah, I feel like that's really oversimplifying what it can do if it's that to that extent. So yeah, and Harry keeps getting little snippets of his parents, and it goes further and further each time he passes out, and he finds himself like kind of wanting to hear their voices, which is interfering with how effective he's being.
Right.
Because he partly doesn't want to get it to go away, which is a pretty fascinating internal struggle to give him. I had kind of forgotten this. I don't feel like I focused on this enough the first time we covered this, but that's kind of like a fucked up place to be.
Yeah. It's like you are willing to put yourself through something that's pretty awful for a snippet of something that you can't really get any other way.
Yeah.
It's overly, I don't want to overstate it, but it's, it's like dying a little bit, just so he can have a moment of like kind of closeness.
Yeah.
With his parents. Yeah, it's fucked up.
It is fucked up. Poor Harry. And this is also the first time that he finds out, because he says, I heard my dad. And Lupin says, you heard James? And he's like, wait, you didn't know my dad, did you? And Lupin's like, yes, I did, actually. But he doesn't get into it more than that, really. Harry asks later, you must have known Sirius Black. And he's like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, well, I know that he was friends with my dad. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I did know him. Well, I thought I knew him. Anyway, you should really get going.
Yeah, I hate this. I know that this is how it happens because I've already read the books, but I do. And I don't even know what I would have wanted Lupin to say in this moment other than just like completely spilling the beans about everything, because that's always what I want, but you don't have a book if that's what happens every time.
Right.
But yeah, I still, even though I know this is how it goes, I get frustrated.
Well, I think, because I totally understand what you mean when it feels like there's no good reason why not to tell him. But I feel like at this point, Lupin doesn't know how much Harry has found out. And so partially he isn't wanting to, tell Harry how much he knows, because if he accidentally, he's assuming that Harry doesn't know that Sirius was the secret keeper. And if he's the one to tell Harry that, God knows what kind of chain reaction that would set off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like he could have, I don't know, Lupin just sort of cuts the conversation off. There's things he could have said without divulging the part about Sirius being the secret keeper in this moment.
Like what? What would you want him to say?
Well, that's just the thing. I just feel like there's very little opportunity for anybody to share any any memories of Harry's parents really with him. Um, and I don't know, just a little something. You know, it didn't have to be the most important thing about their relationship, but just anything to, especially when you see the lengths Harry's willing to go to feel like he's hearing his parents, to like be with them and know them a little bit.
He doesn't know that,
If
though.
what, Lupin, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Lupin doesn't know, but I know, and so I want Lupin to act accordingly. But I don't know. I get frustrated and sad for Harry in these moments where I feel like people could share something with him to, I don't know, give him a piece of his parents, because he has nothing,
Mm-hmm.
except at this point the screaming that's in his head, and that's not great.
Yeah, I think that this all like functions off of things that he doesn't know, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong.
Because he doesn't
I'm
know that
just,
Harry has nothing. I don't think nobody really knows how awful the Dursleys were and how much they kept hidden from Harry. Except for, like, his close friends. Even Dumbledore didn't really find out how bad it was until later, I feel like.
and that's part of I think my overreaching frustration. And again, I understand that for the sake of the way the story goes, it has to be like this. But like, why doesn't Dumbledore know? How bad
Yeah.
it was at the Dursleys. That's kind of a thing he should know.
He should be monitoring.
Especially when we find out that he is aware of a lot of other stuff that's going on.
That's true. Yeah.
But I mean, you think about, I don't know how the magic letters worked. That's never super explained. But we know that the letters know he lived under the cupboard.
Yes, true.
So, I mean, but anyway, I don't want to get bogged down in this, but I don't know. I remember thinking when I read the first time how I didn't know either, when I was reading the first time, what was really happening and what Lupin knew and how all that worked. But I remember when I found out being like, they couldn't just give him a bone? Like, just toss him a little something? But I guess the answer to that is no, they could not.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just also feel like when you're a teacher who's going to be teaching the son of your ex-best friend who died, there's also you're going to be guarding against showing too much favoritism too. I feel like I'd be worried about being inappropriate.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
He's teaching him this thing, this Patronus spell.
But you don't think that if there were any kid that were like suffering from passing out and being like targeted by these things, that he'd have taught that kid if they asked? Because I think he would.
I don't know. It feels very unsanctioned to me. Like, Harry is a very young student to be learning this. This is not part of the curriculum. This is not for his year. I mean, if it was a matter of protecting Harry from the Dementors, if anyone was going to do that, like, well, I know he's a defensive dark arts teacher, but like, did McGonagall sign off on this extra credit class that he's getting? Or is this like a secret?
I don't see that that's at all necessary. Why should she have a say in it? It's not like...
Well, you were saying, though, it seems like it would... So you think he would just teach it to anybody?
I think if there were, like, Harry or not, any kid that for some reason kept having an effect from the Dementors that was like way far and above what was happening to his fellow students, and they asked, hey, can you help me out with some lessons to keep this from happening? I don't know why it's affecting me so badly. I think he would have taught that student. And like you said, he is the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Like, this is his whole deal.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't mean that as a slight against Lupin. I don't mean that he wouldn't care about another student. But I think that he teaches him because it's Harry.
Okay. So, so like that surprises me. Because I just don't think that's basically just being like, nah, you just figure it out to some kid that keeps like passing out. That's fucked up.
I don't know if he would just say figure it out, but I don't know what else happened and if whether or not anybody else has to get approval or know that Harry's taking these lessons or anything like that. But it just seems like he agreed to it very easily, and I don't know if he would do. I don't know. I think it's because it's Harry. I just do.
Okay. Also get closer to your mic.
Oh.
So Harry has to have a little talk with himself after he leaves and be like, they're dead and they're not coming back. Listening to echoes of them won't bring them back. You better get a grip on yourself if you want that Quidditch cup. So he finds out that Ravenclaw got beaten by Slytherin, which is good news for them, because if they beat Ravenclaw next, then they are going to be in the running finally. And Harry is desperately asking all the time if he can have his broom back. It's been a month by this point, and they still are doing jinx testing on it.
Yeah, there was much more time had passed than I remember.
Yes, same.
Like, I was like, oh, she had it for like 2 weeks.
Nope.
Tops.
Yeah, a month is a long ass time. Like, what were they doing? I kind of just want to know that. Like, what were you doing in there?
Especially for somebody as accomplished as McGonagall.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it just means she was being very thorough.
Well, and she says that Flitwick was checking things too, because charms are part of it. So
yeah, everybody was getting a turn.
Yeah. And also Harry's been continuing his Patronus lessons, and he has not really gotten any further than he did the end of that first day. It's just that little silvery vapor, and he hasn't got a full-on Patronus yet, which, you know, he wants a full-on Patronus, but also Lupin's like, yeah, but even what you've got will serve to keep them at bay so that you can get to the ground and land. So at least you won't fall the fuck off your broom and die.
Yeah. Bright side, kids.
Right? And then Harry asks him what's under a Dementor's hood. And he gets this fucked up fucking answer. Which is, the only people who know that are in no state to tell us. Because they've had their fucking soul sucked out, kid.
Yeah, that was, see, that was honest and straightforward.
Oh, God. I'm just picturing, like, a different version of A Christmas Story. You get your soul sucked out, kid. And Harry kind of regrets even asking. He's like, well, damn, I didn't need this shit today. I didn't need to know about that. I'm already scared as fuck of these things. Get told I'm gonna lose my soul to it, too. Fall off my broom right into its mouth.
That's a terrible visual.
Right? I'm just picturing, like, the end of a milkshake.
Oh, my God.
How funny would that be, though? If a Dementor is sucking your soul out, and at the end, it makes that sound like a straw, like... I just happen to have a cup here with a straw in it. There's nothing left in there. It's empty. Get to the last drop. So Harry leaves that lesson, and McGonagall's there, and she's got his firebolt and tells him he can have it back and that it's fine, and that he must have a really good friend out there. And make sure that you win or will be out of the running for the 8th year in a row, as Professor Snape was kind enough to remind me only last night. So then they go.
I like that she's also like, and yeah, you'll need to get the feel of this, even though I've had it for a fucking month, so you had no time to practice.
Yep.
I need you to figure out how to work this thing and do it well.
Yeah, please work around all of the obstacles that I have put in your way to do this thing for me. Thanks. Do me a favor, buddy. So him and Ron go back to the common room, and this is where we find out that poor Neville cannot keep all of the fucking passwords straight because Sir Cadogan keeps changing them because he's a pain in the ass, and he's written them all down in order to keep track of them because
he's Neville.
Because, I mean, really, when you think of people who are trying to get into the common room, you think of other dumb students from, like, Ravenclaw trying to play a prank or something.
Right.
But it should have occurred to him, hey, we have a different person guarding this portrait hole now because the other one got hacked to pieces. Oh.
I feel really bad. I mean, I know that this is Neville's role in these early books. These are the Neville things that have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But as someone who does not always follow suggested protocol when it comes to like passwords, like, the shit I do on the internet and like various programs at work, I'm gonna not be super judgy.
Oh my god, yeah. Money definitely gets on my case a little bit because he gets into a lot of my accounts for the podcast, and when it's, you know, the same password,
oh my god,
for the 7th account in a row, he just starts to be like, all right, we need to talk about this, because I'm like, talk about what? I gotta go. Not changing every password, goddamn. Sit there and pick out each letter trying to remember. Owen's passwords are bananas. They're like 12 letters long, and there's upper and lower case, and all these numbers mixed in, and they're not words, they're not anything. It's just a completely random set of numbers and letters, and he just memorizes it.
Oh, God,
yeah,
no.
I'm always just like, are you, what? But I'm sure nobody's breaking into his shit. This chapter ends with Ron finding this sheet with Scabbers' blood on it and a couple of cat hairs, which he believes is irrefutable evidence that Scabbers was eaten by Crookshanks. So, when we first read this, I feel like you didn't think Scabbers was dead.
No, I remember that I didn't because I am a firm believer in there's got to be a body.
Right. That's what it was. Because I was like, I was trying to remember exactly, because I know that you didn't think there was anything suspicious about Scabbers.
No, I didn't. And I didn't think that there was anything particularly interesting or odd about Crookshank's reaction to Scabbers either. But this thing here, I didn't believe in Scabbers.
There's got to be a body. I remember that now. I remember you literally saying those words. And this, yes, erupts into quite the standoff, Cold War.
Cold War, yes.
That's what it is. Between Ron and Hermione, because she is straight up like, those cat hairs, circumstantial, Your Honor.
Right.
Could have been there for God knows how long. Just a little blood. You don't know he's even dead. Basically, she's saying that she wants a body too.
Yeah.
And Ron is feeling like she just won't admit when she's wrong. And it's very obvious what's going on here, which Harry privately agrees with and then unwisely publicly states, which basically causes Hermione to lose it and just be like, fine, fuck y'all.
Yeah. That was poor judgment on Harry's part.
It was.
And that's the other thing, too, about what I was saying earlier about the thing with Ron and Hermione, is that Harry is often obviously in the center of it, but he has to maintain this balance between the two of them. And for a kid, Harry does, I think, a really good job most of the time when these things happen between Ron and Hermione. He manages, not necessarily impartial, but he manages to have both feel like, well, I'm okay with you, but it's this motherfucker over here that I have a problem with.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, he'll overplay his hand one way or the other. And this is one of those times where Hermione is just like, y'all can both fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and she's already like, okay, so I'm going to read this thing because this got to me a little bit. Where is it? Okay, so first, Oh no, it's a little bit later. I'll read it when we get to it. But, at this point, Harry was sure Crookshanks had eaten Scabbers when he tried to point it to Hermione. The evidence all pointed that way. She lost her temper with Harry, too. And then, meanwhile, the twins are trying to be like, Ron, come on. You knew Scabbers was on his way out anyway. Probably, this was, like, easier, if anything.
Right.
Easier way for him to go than to, like, slowly deteriorate.
Once again, looking on the bright side.
Exactly. One big gulp probably didn't feel a thing. And they tell him to just go to fucking Hogsmeade and buy another rat, buddy. No big deal. Plenty of rats in the sea.
Right. And Ron is horrified and outraged.
Indeed. Nobody can replace Scabbers. He bit Goyle one time. So then comes the Quidditch match. And this is the first time we meet Cho Chang. She gives Harry a smile that makes his belly flip-flop. And it turns out her strategy is just to tail Harry and follow him all the fuck over the place and get in his way and just fuck it up for him. Which is pretty smart.
I was going to say, it's a solid strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's the best seeker, you just fucking follow him, let him find it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then finally, she like gasps and points, and he looks down, sees Dementors, grabs his wand without even thinking, and does a fully fledged Patronus, and then just catches that fucking snitch like without thinking about it. This is one of those sections where somebody wrote it on the internet and replaced wand with dick.
Oh my god, is it?
Mm-hmm. I'll read it with just wand in it, and you can replace it yourself. He didn't stop to think. Plunging a hand down the neck of his robes, he whipped out his wand and roared, Expecto Patronum! Something silver-white, something enormous, erupted from the end of his wand. He knew it had shot directly at the Dementors, but didn't pause to watch. His mind still miraculously clear, he looked ahead. He was nearly there. He stretched out the hand, still grasping his wand. Oh my god. And just managed to close his fingers over the small, struggling snitch.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, God.
Oh, dear Lord, I'm sorry. Please, forgive me. So, they win. It's amazing. And then Harry finds out that those were not Dementors. That was Malfoy and friends, dressed up in giant hooded robes like a bunch of fucking losers. Because they were so sure that they were going to get the better of Harry. And instead, they wound up in a pile on the ground. Yeah. Getting screamed at by Professor McGonagall.
Mm-hmm. I hate that, because Harry is so happy, with the Patronus, and also that he didn't feel any effects.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, because it wasn't the real thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, good on you, buddy. You were able to do it, but it's meaningless.
Yeah, it's like, confidence, and then it's gone.
Yep. A little bit. Good effort. Thanks to Malfoy and company for at least proving that Harry can do it at all, I guess, like inadvertently showing him that he's capable in a vacuum, I guess is the way to say that. But, you know. So Harry is celebrating back in the common room, and this is the part that I was talking to Rashawn about before we started recording. Only one person wasn't joining in the festivities. Hermione, incredibly, was sitting in a corner attempting to read an enormous book entitled Home Life and Social Habits of British Muggles. Harry broke away from the table where Fred and George had started juggling butterbeer bottles and went over to her. "Did you even come to the match?" he asked her. "Of course I did," said Hermione in a strangely high-pitched voice, not looking up. "And I'm very glad we won, and I think you did really well, but I need to read this by Monday." "Come on, Hermione, come and have some food." "I can't, Harry. I've still got 422 pages to read," said Hermione, now sounding slightly hysterical. Yeah.
I take it you... Yeah, I was going to say that sounds familiar.
That feeling of hysteria. Like, Owen sometimes when I'm starting... Because I have anxiety anyway. And I also take on too much. And there has been more than one time where I'm just like, I feel really overwhelmed. And Owen will be like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I have to do this, and then I have to do this. Oh my God, and I totally forgot this other thing that I have to do. Oh my God, I just remembered that. Oh my God." And I just start to like fucking basically get to this like high point where it's like a dog's whistle where my voice is so high
oh my God,
that you can't hear it anymore, where I'm just like, it's this voice in my head going, and this and this and this and this and this and this, don't forget this other thing, and I'm just like, oh, and then I start to cry. And that's basically how that goes. It's sort of like, imagine like tinnitus,
oh my God.
but like with a voice telling you everything you need to do. And eventually that voice gets to be so like high pitched because you can't like that it becomes one long droning sound that just pierces through your brain as just pure panic. It's just panic.
Did you watch Scrubs? I can never remember.
Yes. I watched like the first couple seasons, not all of them.
That was like something that they would do with Elliot. Like, when she would get freaked out and she would start like having a panic attack and her voice would get so high. It was like dolphin.
That's right. That is correct. Yeah, it's just, and poor Owen, he'll be like, just innocently have asked me, "So why do you feel overwhelmed? What's going on?" And a second later, his like nose has started bleeding from the sound of my anxiety. It's just like piercing the air. Just nose and ears bleeding, and his eyes are watering, and he's just going, "Stop, I can't anymore." Oh God. So then Hermione's like, "Well, and I don't think Ron wants me to join in with you guys anyway." And sure enough, Ron's over there like, "Oh, Scabbers would have really liked this party. My rat would have enjoyed these Quidditch festivities." Shut up, Ron. And they go to bed, and Ron screams in the middle of Harry's dream, where he can see his firebolt over his shoulder, following something silvery white winding its way through the trees. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun, indeed.
And when he wakes up from Ron screaming, at first everybody keeps thinking that Ron had a nightmare. And he's like, "Hello, look at the curtains of my fucking bed, guys. This isn't hard. Hard evidence right here. Bunch of Hermiones, you guys."
More evidence that he's got about what happened to Scabbers.
True. And McGonagall's just like, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. How could he have gotten in?" And she goes out and asks Sir Cadogan, fully expecting him to be like, "What? No, of course not." And Sir Cadogan's like, "Yes, I did. Totally let that motherfucker in." And she's like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, what about the password? And he's like, well, he had all the passwords written on a little scrap of paper. And then she comes in and
he's
is like,
super formal. He's like, yes, my lady.
he had them. Had the whole weeks, my lady. Professor McGonagall pulled herself back through the portrait hole to face the stunned crowd. She was white as chalk. Which person, she said, her voice shaking, which abysmally foolish person wrote down this week's passwords and left them lying around? There was utter silence, broken by the smallest of terrified squeaks. Neville Longbottom, trembling from head to fluffy slippered toes,
oh my God,
raised his hand slowly into the air.
There is the most adorable little illustration of a tiny Neville holding some kind of stuffed animal, maybe looks like a stuffed house elf.
I think it's a stuffed house elf.
With just like his little hand raised.
Yep. And he's just like,
oh my God. It is the cutest, saddest thing I've ever seen.
Agreed. Oh, Neville. Who knew that you'd be such a badass?
Oh my God. I can't even believe he admitted it. I mean, he had already told people about losing the password, but I wouldn't have raised my fucking hand. Somebody would have had to say Rashawn did it.
That's a really good point, actually. The fact that he cops to it, because I don't think if he hadn't said anything, I don't think Harry and Ron would have snitched on him. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, he raises his hand.
He sure do.
Because he's Neville.
He takes responsibility.
He's better than everyone else, even when he's terrible.
It's true. He may fuck up, but he's an honest fuck up.
He is. Yep.
Yeah, that makes me think of, we just watched Deathly Hallows Part 1 yesterday. And there's a part where Yaxley gets on, or is it Dolohov, gets on the train and is looking for Harry. And Neville stands up and is like, hey, losers, he's not here. And you're just like, man, have you come a long way, Neville. Getting up in the Death Eaters' faces and calling them losers.
Oh my God, that same scene where some random is like, my father's going to hear about this.
That was Cormac McLagan. I think it was Sarah in the group was like, yeah, Cormac wouldn't he have graduated by now? And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that was him.
Oh my God, I didn't know who that's supposed to be. That's funny because now that makes perfect sense.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Cormac, you dummy. He doesn't look as hot in this one as he looked in the last movie.
No.
He was fine. But yeah, that Deathly Hallows one is like my favorite one for sure.
Yeah, it was really good. I was actually worried about it because, a lot of the book is just them, puttering around, not knowing what the fuck they're going to do next and getting on each other's nerves and all that shit. But they paced it well, I thought.
Yeah, I think that they do manage to show them wandering around and getting on each other's nerves, but they make it interesting. They definitely managed to get it across without dwelling too long on it.
Exactly. It didn't feel like it felt like it was like when she yells at Ron.
Ooh, come back.
When Hermione yells at Ron when he comes back, and she says something like it's been a month.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It wasn't like that shocking thing, like, what do you mean it's been a month? Like, I believed, even though we didn't spend 4 hours watching them.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it feels like it's been about a month. That seems right.
Yeah. Yeah, and not that it fucking seems like a month, am I right?
Yeah. I was really concerned about what that first book, especially the first part of that book, was going to be like for a movie. Considering the second half is so action heavy.
Yeah.
I was like, why would they split that into 2 whole movies? Does that mean it's going to just drag on forever and I'm going to hate all of it? But no, they actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah, agreed. And I know a lot of people say that they found that one to drag anyway, even though we're both saying that it didn't. But like I said, I think it needed to be slower in order to offset what happens later, because it's such an introspective part of the books, and it's so full of doubt for Harry, and there's not a real easy way to get that across if there's always tons of things happening. It's him struggling internally. So Anyway, that's for the podcast about the movies, which
that's right.
doing on Sunday. So I think that's about all. And I wanted to mention again, because I have not I don't think I did the last episode because we've had some like setbacks. So I said we've had some setbacks. And as I said that, GarageBand decided to stop recording. So that's great. That really encapsulates the past couple weeks. What I was saying was that we've had some setbacks with our recordings and things not working out. And so I have been a little bit lax on talking about our awesome sponsor, AkioBox. Rashawn and I got the Akio boxes for Halloween, which were awesome. And there were some exclusive items in there, like Dark Mark stemless wine glasses, which I have been using a lot. And 2 really awesome candles. There's a cauldron cake candle, which smells like chocolate. And then there was like a pumpkin or I think it was pumpkin juice, right? Was there any other one?
One was pumpkin juice.
And cauldron cake.
And yes.
And those are awesome. There was a Love Good Bath Potions bath bomb that was
shaped like a coffin.
Yes, it was really cool. Did you use that yet?
No, not yet.
I haven't used mine either. Finally, the bathtub is fucking clean. It's been stained purple for a minute. I don't know why. It's just really weird. So, I haven't used mine. I need to, though. I need to get on that. I need some fucking relaxation after all of my, quote, setbacks. So, yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you go to akiobox.com and use code UNSPOILED, you get 10% off of your first 3 months. And their stuff is so cool. It's 3 to 5 items that are handcrafted, sometimes exclusive items, like the Dark Mark glasses are exclusive. The Constant Vigilance flask was exclusive. The really cool Resist poster was exclusive. A lot of their stuff they design, and it's just, you can't find it anywhere else. It's not like you can go on Etsy and find the exact thing. Some of it you can, like the Love Good Bath Potions you can. The candles you can. And the awesome Ford Anglia pin that I got. I think we both got in our first sample box from them.
Yep.
I love that pin. That the designer also has another pin that I really want to get that's got the night bus, the purple night bus. But yeah, guys, go check out akiobox.com. Support them and support me by using my code. You'll be supporting 2 small businesses and 2 pairs of awesome ladies, actually, now that I think about it. And get really, really cool stuff that nobody else will have, pretty much. It's like, that's part of the appeal, I feel like, is having shit nobody else has.
Yeah.
So, yeah, akiobox.com. Code UNSPOILED. And I think that's about it for those kinds of announcements. I just wanted to say hi to new patrons, too. We have Aaron Shields. Let's see. Craig Young. Paul Feastfield. Melissa Pauley. LB. Robin Good. And Cheyenne Harness. All became patrons over this past week. So welcome to all of you. Thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you to our donors, because we have reached $3,635 on our GoFundMe, which is outstanding. We are, what does that mean? We are $365 from our goal. And we have 2 weeks to go. So there's still potential for us to actually reach that goal, which would be super cool. But the most recent donors, thanks to all of you, Rachel Smoot, Joshua E., Chelsea Donnelly, Katie Underwood, Rachel Dodd, Sani M., Abby Stearns, Paul Thiesfield, and Daniela Oropesa. All of them sent really sweet notes, too. Thank you guys so much for that. And one of them says, I'm one of the pieces of shit that never read the books, but I really enjoy you guys talking about the books. Have fun at the parks.
That's amazing.
I don't know why that cracked me up so bad when I read it. I was just like, that is so strange to me that you would listen to a podcast when you haven't read them, but why not?
That's great.
I listened to Flophouse episodes and Overdue episodes about books and movies.
Yep,
I haven't seen
I
or
have
read,
to.
so.
I have to. That's really funny.
So yeah, thank you guys all so much. That's like our trip would not be happening, and I don't mean that in any sort of hyperbole. It would literally not be possible.
Literally,
if it
would not be possible.
And y'all don't know how much we're looking forward to this. We need it. And it's just...
I'm so excited.
It's incredible that this is happening.
Yeah. It's pretty... It's like I said this before, but I waited to like almost the last minute to get excited because I just could not envision that it was really going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I'm finally letting myself get excited. And it's still a little too far out for me, you know.
I mean, yeah, she let herself get excited for a second the other day, guys. It was adorable. She just went, "Oh my God, I'm so excited!" And then she stopped and she went, "Okay, that's as excited as I'm allowed to get for today." It's like she had her quota. She hit that number. She was like, "All right, true. And we're done." And I wanted to also let everybody know, because I've seen a lot of questions from people who are like, "Hey, are you guys doing things outside the parks? Because we'd really like to meet up, but we aren't going to be able to like go for the whole trip." I will post I'll post on the Facebook page for the show, actually, the general schedule. But what we're planning on doing is we're getting in on Tuesday. We're just going to like meet up with everybody that evening and go bowling. Just to meet everyone that's here for this trip. Wednesday the 29th is the day that we're going to go to Wizarding World proper and spend like the whole day there. And then in the evening, we're going to go out to dinner. Thursday, we're going to spend the rest of Universal, Thursday the 30th, and check out the Simpsons World and all of the other park crap that's in all the other spots. And then we're going to have to go out to dinner every night, obviously. And then Friday, the 1st of December, we're going to try and go to Volcano Bay, the water park, depending on the weather. We may change our minds about that if it's too cold. And in the evening, we're thinking that we might do Medieval Times, the Orlando Medieval Times, which is like, it's so goofy, but it's really fun. So that's that, the Friday the 1st, and then the 2nd of December, which is a Saturday, we're going to visit Wizarding World one more time because we leave Sunday. So Saturday, back to Wizarding World again. Going to have a nice long break in the middle of the day just to relax and chill by the pool probably. And then we're going to have dinner and go to Rising Star for karaoke, which is on the City Walk, which there's no admission to get onto City Walk. It's just right outside the park. And it's karaoke. So that will be really fun. And we're planning on getting dressed up for both the first night dancing at Red Coconut Club on the 29th and for the karaoke on the Saturday. So that's our general, I think we have agreed as a group that looks like it'll work out for most of us. So if you're interested in like coming down for, one night or one afternoon or whatever and meeting us, that is where we'll be. And hopefully you can fit us into your schedule and say hi and, the whole deal. I think that's about everything. Anything you can think?
I think that's it, lady.
All right. Well, I hope that you guys have been enjoying the show. If you have, please leave us a review on iTunes. We got one new one on the 7th from Seven Bear Sarah, who gave us 5 stars, best HP podcast. And she said that your laugh is very infectious. And they constantly make real-world comparisons to the source material that makes the series even more poignant than I ever thought it was.
Aww.
So that was really sweet.
Thank you,
Sarah, for that, who is also a patron. So yeah, guys, leave reviews on iTunes. It helps us. It makes us feel good about ourselves. We are at 313, which is rad. And I'm just excited also because I got quoted in a Medium article. The article is titled 10 Top TV Critics Tell Us What Makes Good Television. And they had contacted me asking me for a quote, but the guy who contacted me made it sound like it was for this like little tiny blog that was like, I just thought it was a little thing, And he's like, so can you give me like 120 words about this? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, okay. And I just wrote my thing. And then somebody sent me the link today and was like, hey, you're in this. And I was like, wait, what? Medium? So I shared that shit literally everywhere. So thank you very much to Chris for writing that article. I should have checked to see what his last name was. But yeah, I shared it on the Facebook page if you want to see it. So, I think that's everything. Okay. All right. Well, guys, hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope that we get to see you in Universal if you have the time. And if not, hopefully we see you at LeakyCon next year, or maybe at the Philly Podcast Festival next year. Ooh. Fingers crossed. I got all sorts of things I'm trying to get started, so just bear with me. All right. Love you all. See you next week with 2 more chapters. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.